Hi, my name is Greg Milner. I'm going to show you how to put a box together. This is a long box, and basically we've got a very challenging selection of flowers here because it's polychromatic. We've got a whole range of different flowers and different colours, and that actually makes it harder to arrange. So I've actually now made a presentation on how to make a presentation sheaf. The principles of that are very similar to the box. And some people actually make these flowers in their hand and then place them into the box. I'm actually going to arrange these in the box so you can see both options from that previous presentation. I've also used this rose stripper, which comes in, it's quite pliable into your hand. So this is going to run down, or it has already, to strip the roses. Always make sure with any petals, if there's anything that's in any way damaged, that you're checking over your flowers. And the same thing, check your foliages, just to make sure that everything is in order, so that it's nice and fresh for the client. And I've used floss bags on these roses, so they've got an individual water source. So we'll commence with arranging. Some florists like to put cellophane in the bottom of a box. And the reason why they like to do that is in case there is any moisture leakage. And secondly, I've actually cut a flap. So I've cut this out for the stems. So we're going in the one direction. Don't cut the flap off because you'll bind your stems. You'll actually tie them to this base, and that stops them moving up and down, particularly if they're being carried awkwardly. Now, there are options with regard to colour and paper. If you like the box of chocolates idea, where you open up the box and you see the paper first, then I suggest that you put some tissue in, work it basically towards the middle, 2 sheets, and in that way you're going to seal it over when you're finished, and the recipient has to open it to see what's inside. That's quite common. Alternatively, you could line just a half sheet in the base of the box and not have it on the sides, and that's one way you can get a little bit more colour impact if you need it. Right, now foliage, always start with the highest of any variety towards the centre line, so up to the box, and as you work your way down. With a box of this height, we're going to have to be very careful of our height levels, so therefore we don't want anything that's sitting up too much. If you do remove any foliage, make sure you cut right back to the stem so that it's not obvious that you've actually cut that off. Now, I've placed all these flowers on the bench. A one of anything is very difficult. And this one is quite large, and those anthers on the stamens needed to be removed a little bit earlier. So you can see that they've actually marked the flower. Now, if I do get a cloth, I'll manage to get that off, but that's a very good reason as to why the anthers should be removed before they pollinate. Now, they haven't pollinated on this bud because it's younger. Let's get rid of that. So you can see the difference. So this one needs cleaning up actually to be used. That's going to go towards the base because it's the large one and it's a one colour. Alright, so where we go, quite a selection of different things. Start with something smaller towards the top. So we've got some Sweet William. I'm laying this into the box. We've got some nice Gypsy here, which is also a dianthus variety, which is carnation variety. Now don't come too far down with regard to those placements, because we're going to need to add what our main flowers are going to be. And in this case, it's going to be the roses. And remember, they've got those floss bags, so therefore they've got to be concealed as we design. So I might lift that up just a little bit higher there. And we're starting to mix in. So we're actually starting with a nice central line. Smallest rose towards the top. We can start to branch out a little bit. Now we've also got the gerberas coming. So we've got red and we've got pink. Now technically the pink is a bit lighter in colour than the red. So we're going to extend those in towards the centre line. Got some crizzies there, so we might just mix, and there's only one stem of those, so we might mix those in. Now when these are arranged, the recipient, I'll just take those little tips off there. In springtime they're very dangerous. They might hold at the moment, but just make sure that these young tips are actually cut off, because they will droop. So we'll place those into the box. Maybe a little bit of potostrum just to sort of mix it in. Come back with our roses towards the centre. Now we've also got these red gerberas. We might work those down towards the side. Flatten that down a little bit, because if you go above the lip of the box, what's the likely problem? They'll be squashed. Now there's a little bit of status here. So we'll just mix that in. So just bring it. We could have brought a piece of status up there too if we'd wanted to. Alright, so coming in. Another rose. Let's build that up just a little bit. Now the largest lily is going to sit here, but I'm actually going to take this one off because it isn't good enough. I'm going to take it right back to that point, and we'll put that one right at the base here, and we might put some of our roses around it, just bringing that towards the base. So we've got a nice selection for a client to be able to arrange. Always difficult with the different colours. As I said, this is one of the hardest in selection. Alright, so we'll just give that a little water spray. That just looks so fresh. I'm just going to hold that up a little bit so we can actually see the strength of the design. And the strongest section still comes down towards the base. Now there's a little bit of elstro, we could probably pop that in just to give a little bit more bulk. If these were long stems, then we'd be a little more cautious. They are short. And when I say cautious, we just don't want to cut those off if they're longer stems. So we can bring those in. Alright, but we've got to be careful of those height levels. Alright, so over goes the paper. Over goes the paper again, like so. And with this section here, I'm going to take what is called Arrive Alive. So with this, I'm going to take this over the end, and that is creating a moisture buffer for the flowers, and I'm going to bag that. So this is pre-soaked, and that's keeping moisture on all of the stems that don't have a water source. And then just to neaten that up, I'm just going to take a piece of cellophane which is waterproof. I'll go with the dull side. We're going to bind. We're going to tuck up neatly, up into here, fold that over, and we're going to come across and put that join underneath. Alright, so just a little bit of sticky tape to hold that in position. That again is just holding again for water source, although the Stay Alive bag is excellent. You can make your own water pouch if you choose to, and that's quite neat. Now, got a little bit of embellishment here, and I'm just going to look at this box. Now, I've put some ribbon on the box. It's quite vibrant, but we've got those colours in the Sweet William. Now, that is just a piece of sticky tape holding that across, and we've cut slightly on the angle. But because we've got red in there, we're going to be daring, and we're going to take a piece, so sticky tape on. Now, make sure that your bench is dry if you do put this face down on your bench. So come across, sticky tape, pull it across again, cut, sticky tape, and you can do that sideways or lengthways. The others were sideways. And that just gives you a contrast on the lid. Now that can go to the top or the base depending on your preference. We'll seal that lid on. So there's the lid sitting. I would suggest either some sticky tape here or an over tie just to be absolutely sure. And we're just going to plump up here. Just gathered that together for a little bit of extra effect. I'm going to take some tie here. Place that on. We're going to tie that around. So this is just giving a bit of camouflage and fun towards the end of the box, just to glamorise it a bit. Pull that around a bit more. Sorry, I'm just going to do that again. We just gathered that in and up. I just didn't quite have enough tie, so I'm just going to set that again. We'll go for a second round. There we go. Now I'm doing a double knot here, and the double knot is to hold it when I'm ready to again do the next section. Right, so that's nice and tight. Cut that off. And I'm just going to do a little combination bow. And we've actually done bow making. So you can have a look at that on a previous presentation. And I'm just going to mix this in because we've got multicolours. So it's nice to have a bit of a mixture together. I'm just gathering that into a turn loop. Coming across again. So we've got the two colours fused together just as we have on the lid. We might do a couple of extra tails. Gather that in. And we'll do some tails there as well. Maybe another loop and another tail. Alright, now cut. Take our tie. Position this on. Take our other end, we're coming across, and we're just tying this on. Now there are different methods that you can use, but make sure that everything is secure. That's probably the most important thing, because these have to be handled. Alright, so what that's doing is just giving us a nice little fun finish towards the end. You've got your colours coming up on the top of the box. So that gives you a very nice box presentation. Take the lid off, this is what the recipient would do. Opens up, and you have a very nice selection of flowers. So I hope you enjoyed watching that presentation, and if you need more information on different boxes, including the central focal box, the skill of flower arranging, my latest book will give you some excellent instructions. Hope you enjoyed watching that. Thanks very much.